you spent some time tracking Ted Cruz this week. He was an interesting character to track. I don't think they're under the illusion they won here by any means, though.
Well, Ted Cruz might be, or at least he's saying that he achieved some sort of victory here. He's kind of alone in saying that, and certainly a lot of his colleagues have taken to the airwaves and gone to the Senate floor to say they lost, to say we can't repeat this, that this was a horrible strategy, and that it was a no-win situation. Ted Cruz himself is saying this was a victory because, in his words, the American people rose up and voiced their opposition to the Affordable Care Act. And Ted Cruz is actually not willing to rule out doing this again. He's not ruled out another shutdown. The good news for the American people is that the second time around, his colleagues aren't going to go along with him. He would be fighting that fight essentially alone. But he says the fight goes on, and he wouldn't rule out trying to do this all over again.
You know, it's interesting. I wrote something this week that said that the rebels think that they made an important point even in the process of not winning. That's where other Republicans beg to differ. They don't think the point that was made was worth the grief that was endured.
Right. Well, and you see comments from Republicans saying that they ended up in a worse place because they chose this no-win strategy. I mean, McConnell himself said he found himself on the 2-yard line and had no choice but to punt because of this, what he called not a smart strategy. So, I mean, they're blaming Cruz for putting them in a bad position and coming out with nothing.
Well, in that sense, has Obama achieved something? Has he at least staved off the possibility that this will happen again? We won't go through this in January and February, that even if Ted Cruz tries this, he'll be isolated and marginalized, and he won't find as much of a following next time as he did now?
You know, I think that that's probably true, that this won't happen again in January. Something bad may happen, but not this bad thing in January. But I do think that there'll be continued efforts to go at Obamacare, because that's where this started from the rebels' point of view. And that was the real problem Republicans had, was the establishment wanted to deal with the budget and do what they could to continue making progress and holding down spending, and they have had some success there. The rebels wanted to attack Obamacare because they view it as essentially a metaphor for everything they think is wrong with government overreach. And I don't think that's been resolved, that split within the Republican Party.
No, I don't think it's been resolved. I talked to Pete King last night on the Hill, and
he's a
moderate Republican from New York, who was saying that, well, we may still go after Obamacare, but it might be like maybe on the individual mandate, maybe tweak it, maybe some more, you know, not unravel it or dismantle it as the Tea Party faction was trying to do, but something more around the edges.
Yeah.
You know.
I thought it was interesting to see Obama, when he made his remarks after the shutdown ended, to say, if you want to make changes, you got to win elections. It was, I can see it coming across as like taunting them, but also saying, listen, this is reality. I got reelected, and you're not taking this long.
The flip side of that reality is that the system is what it is right now. Until there's an election that shifts the balance, everything we're talking about probably only changes it in the margins, not fundamentally. So you're kind of stuck in, you know, kind of it's high-centered is the kind of the image that I have of Washington right now.
To Damien's point, though, I do think Obama was disturbed by what he was seeing coming from the Republicans. I think he saw that there was a precedent here that he wanted to establish, that a minority of a minority in one house of, you know, in one branch of government can't do this, can't shut down the government to extract concessions and to pursue an ideological agenda. So I do think that you know, that was deep in his psyche.